Hey, everybody, welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. So this is Cyrus, and on this show we talk about complex metaphysical supernatural issues. So thank you for joining us. And on today's episode, I'm going to feature a post by Chuck Goldman at the Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics Facebook group. So sometimes I do this. If there's a post I really like, then I will put it up there and put it up here on the screen and we can talk about it. Maybe that's a little bit embarrassing, like when grandma pulls out the photo album or something like that. And if it is embarrassing, then I apologize. But I do think that this is good stuff to talk about, some really good points in relationship to what we talk about on this channel primarily. Before we jump into this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video if you think others may find this information useful. All that keeps this kind of fledgling small channel going, but I do appreciate the loyal audience I have, the loyal patron supporters. All of you guys really help out, allow me to keep this going as my job. And I will also mention that if you want to get involved, work with me personally, get involved in coaching about different subjects, whether that's out-of-body experiences or astral projection or expanding your knowledge of this topic, then contact me. There's my email on the bottom left side of the screen, and we can chat. So to continue. So we have here a very good post. Basically, the gist of this post is to put up or shut up when it comes to afterlife information. And this is a point that is really good, I think, for reminding people about also in your life who want to challenge you, who find out, like they see a book on your desk about, let's say a book like, I don't know, Understanding Life After Death, and then they want to harass you or give you problems about that because they think it's bunk. Well, here's a good approach. So this post says, there are two ways to look at LAD. It's an acronym. I couldn't figure out what he was talking. I thought he was talking about the LAD Bible, but turns out he's talking his life after death. There are two ways to look at LAD. The first is the grinding of our materialistic point of view, denting the surface of it through theory. And the second is to read and research everything there is about mediumship and through mediumship. So, so there's people who ignore the objective evidence. That's a big airplane going over. Wow. It's got to be the closest airplane yet that's flown by my place. I can't wait to get out of here. Anyway, so there are these different, like there's people who try to speculate about an afterlife who are coming from maybe a materialist or even a post-materialist perspective, but they don't know about the objective evidence, so they release a book about the hypotheticals of an afterlife. And there was a book that was like a New York Times bestseller that was talking about it was like a fantasy book talking about the theories of what an afterlife could be like, while towing the line and being like, oh, don't worry, I don't actually believe any of that pseudoscience. I'm just postulating theories and possibilities. And this is the quickest way to get misinformation out there, to get bad information and to confuse a lot of people because it's coming from a non-factual basis. And that's where, unfortunately, a lot of this information still resides. Also, people coming from Eastern religious backgrounds, people, purely from a philosophical angle. Like, this is where you get all that stuff about how, you cross over and become omniscient, all-knowing, merged with the universe, or people who think that there's like only reincarnation and that's the whole extent of an afterlife. And of course, all the people who say, well, we don't really know what happens when we die until we actually die. And no one has actually died yet, so no one can say what it's like. Well, again, these are people who haven't done the research, certainly haven't had their own experiences, but they haven't even done 5% of the reading that you need to do to make an educated opinion. Anyway, the validations of mediumship are now nearly 200 years in the making, with the newest research confirming that the probability that what is experienced is coming from discarnate reality. I think you mean to say with the newest research confirming that the extremely high probability that what is experienced is coming through discarnate reality. Whether that is lab experiments such as the sophisticated research of Gary Schwartz, PhD, and others just as engaged elsewhere. Double and triple blind repeated experiments are discussed in his many books. If you have not seen or heard about the Skoll experiments, I suggest that to you. I am also at this juncture in my own experiences and life bored beyond belief, literally, by the tiresome argument that it just cannot be so. And it is a tiresome argument. Promulgated entirely by the you win Scrabble. I never say promulgated. I'm now going to start using this word. Promulgated entirely by denial and ignorance about the vastness and precision of the research already accomplished. Dig in and learn or shut up if you want your oblivion intact, because it does not hold up any longer as disproof. So if you're gonna talk about the afterlife, put up or shut up. Don't make comments about something if you're not willing to look at any of the research or any of the evidence. If you want to dig into the research and the evidence and then still deny an afterlife, well, it's a respectable position, but I think a very weak position. Some of the super skeptics like Keith Augustine have actually done that. So they've actually dug into the research and then invented like elaborate explanations about mass delusions and things like this as a way to prop up the materialist argument. At least I can respect that, though, as somebody like that guy, because they've gone through all the work. And that dude is like semi-obsessed with the subject. I think, he's obsessed with trying to tell everybody none of it's real. But his arguments are very, very weak. And it's always going to be weak because it's basically like objective, double-blind, triple-blind experimentation, countless anecdotal reports, thorough investigations, lot in this area that you have to somehow account for and have to, defend and say it's not real. So, the skeptics, they have a whole machine in place to keep people ignorant about the topic. You have to wonder who is benefiting from that ignorance. And I think that the people benefiting from the ignorance are big corporations. Because let's say if non-material physics were mainstream and people understood how powerful, let's say, something like remote viewing really was, then corporations would lose that edge, because a lot of corporations use non-material physics to get an edge. They hire remote viewing firms. That's why Uri Geller has tens of millions. That's why Uri Geller has a bigger house than Tom Cruise, because these remote viewing firms make a lot of money. So remote viewing firms, corporations, elite levels of society, they want people to be ignorant. And so it's a big surprise that the gatekeepers of information, like let's say, for example, Wikipedia, they go out of their way to come up with like very shallow debunker arguments for every para subject that exists. So whether that's mediumship or whether that's, reincarnation or EVP, whatever it is, every single Wikipedia page is like a debunking attempt, but all of it's shallow, all of it's superficial. But the people buy into this, and then you get the snarky skeptics, and it's a great message that if you are a snarky skeptic, well, put up or shut up about the material. We have evidence, and Chuck is just citing a couple areas. There are many more areas of evidence, many more avenues to explore in regard to what we talk about, which is that the idea that there's different levels of reality, different dimensional levels, and that if your physical brain shuts down here, rather than dying, you just shift your frequency to a consciousness that exists on a different level, and you're just like, one moment you're here, and then poof, now I'm someplace else. And that's the way that this afterlife business works. And a big topic is like our relationship to these other levels, which I also think that's something that's been suppressed and is still being suppressed. I think in normal existence, like no one was ever taught, it's never been revealed to you or the public that reality is actually all of these dimensional levels stacked on top of each other, and that you could contact people between these levels. And it's only weird because we think it's weird, but it's like data. It's like being in a big video game where you have different servers and whatever. I mean, that's all it is. It's not as weird as anybody thinks it is. But because of this, probably the one part that is a little bit frightening is that life is eternal. Nobody really dies. It just like again, it's almost like a big computer game. Like, yes, you can die here, but that doesn't mean that. It's just like, player one has left the game. That's all that is. And you're back to the hub, or you're back to a different game, back to a different level or a different server immediately. Like it's not like anybody thinks it is. This is the big secret. And if you want to defend this position, if you want to deal with people who want to say that you're crazy, then here's the research. You can read the research, make an informed opinion about why it is that I'm crazy, or you can shut the hell up. Because listen, the days of, this is not a new age topic. This is reality. And don't let people bully you, and don't let people try to say that you're some, crystal buying weirdo because you believe in, quote, spirits. Because it's not about spirits. That's a made up word. It's about multidimensional existence, which affects everybody and explains all parasubjects, all explained by multidimensions. If you want to learn more, grab some books of mine like Understanding Life After Death, The Afterlife and Beyond. It's over at afterlifetopics.com. Consider supporting this work and allowing me to continue getting information out there in the channel, in the group, in the books, and the other communities that I run as my job by becoming a patron at patreon.com/afterlifetopics or afterlifetopics.com/university. Get involved in our private patron group, private discussions with guests, lots of cool stuff like that. Would love to have you. You can sign up and you can work with me one-on-one that way. You can do, if you sign up as a special class patron, then that's also free coaching with me. If you want to access me, talk to me one-on-one, all of that. You can get involved today if you like this subject. If you don't like this subject, then no pressure. Don't worry about it. Go about your business. Don't listen to me, trying to introduce this kind of stuff. Just forget about it. Anyway, hope you like this video, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this, and I'll talk to you soon.